Sometimes a sandwich is more than just the sum of its parts, and the French dip is just that. Simple ingredients with a little bit of added technique along the way elevate this to way more than just your average sandwich. Tender beef, bread, mustard, maybe some cheese, and all of the juices. That's all it takes to make this delicious sandwich, but there are some crucial steps along the way to make this sandwich the best it can be. So let's get to those details that take this from a regular roast beef sandwich to the famous French dip.
To make a spectacular French dip, you need to start with a great cut of beef. In this recipe, we'll use a Certified Angus Beef top sirloin roast. This cut is perfect because it's well marbled, tender, and has a great flavor for a sandwich application. We'll keep the seasoning simple with some coarse salt and a nice cracked pepper. No need to go over the top with seasonings here. The flavor of the beef really needs to shine in this sandwich. Make sure to season liberally. This is a pretty big cut. To build flavor and get a beautiful crust, it's important to sear the roast in a skillet. This will create a Maillard reaction on the outside of the meat and also start to build a fond in the pan, which we'll use for the au jus. You can see that it's starting to develop a nice crust all around, and that's what you're going for. Sear on all sides, then put the roast in a sheet pan fitted with a wire rack and into an oven preheated to 275 degrees Fahrenheit. Pan searing may seem like an extra step, but trust me, the flavor in the end result will be that much better. While that roasts, you can build a deep and flavorful au jus. This will only take a few ingredients and a little time. A piece of Certified Angus Beef shank will add viscosity and a deep, beefy flavor to the au jus. Season with a little S&P and go right into that same pan to sear. Again, we're creating a nice crust and building a fond in the pan. More browning equals more flavor. Sear the halved onion as well. This will help to develop more flavor on the onion. Getting a nice char on a halved onion is an old chef's technique for building flavors in soups, so it works great here. Once everything has browned nicely, add to a large saucepan and it's time to start building the au jus. Deglaze the skillet with some low-sodium beef stock. Now you can scrape up all those brown bits that you worked so hard to create. Once the fond is deglazed, add the deglazing liquid to the pan along with the rest of the beef stock. Just let that au jus simmer away. You want a good reduction and to let those beefy flavors infuse. Once the beef hits 125 degrees internally, remove it from the oven for a good rest. It will raise in temperature while it rests to a perfect medium rare.
Before we get into these important steps, don't forget to subscribe.
We want this beef to rest a good while, so in the meantime, you can work on the bread. For the sandwich, you'll want to use a nice, crusty French loaf, but not a baguette. Baguettes are a little too crusty and narrow for a bulky sandwich like this. This is a 2-foot French loaf that will need to be cut in half, then sliced horizontally, leaving a little crust attached to create a hinge. You could use 4 6-inch rolls if you don't want to mess with this big of a loaf. Now that the roast has rested and cooled a little, it's time to slice. You'll want to cut against the grain, so it's important to determine which way it runs. To make slicing easier, cut it once with the grain into 2 halves. This will give you a flat surface for the roast, which will make it more stable when slicing thin. It will also make the face of the roast half as large, so slices won't be large and unruly. Since this beef is for a sandwich, you'll want to slice it nice and thin. Shave the beef if possible. This is the time to break out your sharpest knife and go to town. The au jus will simmer about 1.5 hours or until you yield about 2 cups of the liquid. Before straining it, make sure to remove that shank and set it aside. There's plenty of flavor left in it, so throw that in your freezer for a soup down the road. Remove the large pieces of onions before straining. You could even chop these up and put them back in your sandwich if that's your style. I like to strain using a fat separator for easy pouring. You could also use a pint measuring cup since there shouldn't be much fat floating on top. Now it's time to assemble the sandwich. Pour a little au jus in the same skillet as before and bring to a simmer. Then add half of the sliced beef. I like to add the beef in a row about the length of one section of bread. This will warm the beef through and help to meld the flavors of the jus plus the sliced beef. Top the slices with cheese and cover. It will only take a few minutes to make that cheese good and melty. The only condiment you really need is a good spicy mustard. I found one that has a sweet heat that works so well with this sandwich. The acidity and spice of the mustard really helps to make the rich, beefy flavors to pop. Look at that melty cheese. This sandwich is ready to build. Just fill one of those 12-inch loaves with all the juicy and cheesy slices of beef. If you're using 6-inch rolls, this batch will fill 2 of them. It's a must to pour over some of that au jus as well. This sandwich needs to be good and juicy. Now that it's built, cut it in half to serve 2 people or one hungry person who loves a beefy sandwich. Repeat this technique with the second batch of beef and bread. Don't forget to serve it with that remaining au jus for dipping.
This sandwich is so simple, so few ingredients, but it's so beefy. This is a next level French dip. Join us next time here in the Test Kitchen.